Jason Rzucidlo recording inside the MotorCity Casino for a special meeting of the Detroit Economic Club, featuring the 2011 Detroit Tigers. Stay tuned for remarks from Tigers Manager Dave Dombrowski, Tigers President and General Manager Dave Dombrowski, and tonight's presiding officer is Mr. Christopher Ilitch, President and CEO of Ilitch Holdings.
But thank you so much, and thank you to the players for being a part of this. It really means so much to us, and the coaches and management and everybody else. So let's give them a hand, just kind of And actually, before this meeting, I have a little announcement to make. Mr. Ilitch and Mr. Dombrowski have agreed that next year, how about if we invite some of the alumni players back to participate? What do you think? So anyway, we're looking really forward to that. But now we're going to get on with today's business. So let me take a moment to introduce you to one of my bosses. Christopher Ilitch, of course, is the chairman and CEO of Ilitch Holdings. And not only that, he is involved in so much. He and his wife Kelly and their family, of course, his mother and father, Mike and Marion Ilitch, do so much for this community. Not only, obviously, are they the proud owners of the Detroit Tigers and the Detroit Red Wings, but they go beyond so much. So many things they do in the community for charities, for kids, I mean, really for all of us. I am so proud to know Christopher Ilitch, and even prouder that he is a member of our Detroit Economic Club Board of Directors. And he really is the man that makes both of these luncheons possible. So please join me in giving a very warm welcome to Christopher Ilitch.
Thank you, Beth, for that very kind introduction. And fellow board members, Detroit Tigers staff, and coaches and players, students, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome. I want to thank first the Detroit Economic Club and our board of directors for hosting this wonderful event again this year. This is really becoming a great tradition, and getting the Detroit business community together with our baseball team has been a lot of fun. You know, there's something special about the start of baseball season that signifies the beginning of spring and everything that spring represents, other than the rain, of course. You know, but it's a fresh start, it's a new beginning, and truly endless possibilities. And for our ball club this year, the big names are back, which is very exciting. But we also have some key additions that we think should make for some very competitive and a fun baseball season this year. And also back this year, by popular demand, is the Who's Your Tiger tagline. And I think one reason the Who's Your Tiger tagline has been so popular with our fans is that we all connect in some way with each of our ball players. This team and these players are very important to this town, and they truly do go to bat for this community. Of course, while the team strives to win on the field, countless times they're gaining victories for our community off the field as well. And one great example of that is the Tigers Winter Caravan. It's become a great wintertime tradition where our manager, our coaches, players, front office staff, and others travel throughout the region by bus, really throughout the state, making frequent stops to visit with fans of all ages and spread the baseball fever, if you will. And it's a perfect example of how this team embraces our community. So also, when we talk about the tradition of our franchise, we're talking about now 111 years of Detroit Tiger baseball. And there have been many great contributors through the years. And I must mention that one individual the ball club is celebrating this season is the late Sparky Anderson and his significance to the history of the Tigers. In fact, the team is going to be retiring Sparky's number 11 this year on June the 26th. So I know you're anxious to hear from Dave Dombrowski and Jim Leland and their perspective on the ball club for this season, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But first, though, I'd like to mention on behalf of my father and our club's owner, Mike Ilitch, and the entire Detroit Tigers organization. We want to thank each and every one of you here in this room today, as well as our season ticket holders, our suite owners, our corporate sponsors, our broadcast partners, fans who come out to Comerica Park, and fans who watch on television or listen on radio. The success of the Tigers is truly a tribute to your support, and we thank each and every one of you. So, with that, let's get today's program started for an inside look at the Tigers' 2011 season, and I am happy to turn it over to our Master of Ceremonies. You're both here. So, Masters of Ceremonies, Tigers radio announcers Dan Dickerson and Jim Price. Thank you.
We're both here. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for coming out. This is always a great occasion, a great chance for ball players to mix with fans. A kickoff to the home portion of the schedule, something that I think all of us enjoy every year that we get a chance to come out here. We've got an exciting afternoon planned for you. You're going to hear from President, CEO, and General Manager of the Detroit Tigers, Dave Dombrowski, as well as Manager Jim Leland about the upcoming 2011 season. We're also going to have a Tigers highlight video for you, and be sure to stay around to the very end because we do have some raffle items, and if you put your name in the hat, we'll announce the winners at the very end, including an autographed bat signed by 1968 World Series champion, Tigers great Willie Horton, autographed ball signed by a guy you might know, Hall of Famer, also World Series champion 1968, Al Kaline, and we have an autographed jersey signed by 2009 All-Star and current third baseman Brandon Inge. So again, stay around to the very end.
Just to echo what Dan said, it's always a pleasure to be here. And if you hear the broadcast, you hear me talk about fancy campers. Well, every place I go, they show up. You get in the broadcast booth where there's great security, and there's even some here today. And I wanted to give this to Dave, Jim, because this guy's name is Dave Hyman. He says he's a top prospect. So I thought I'd give you the baseball card. Dave, are you here? Where are you, Dave? Right here. There he is. Jimmy's a left-handed pitcher. His stuff is slow and short when he went to the mound, believe me. Well, now it's my pleasure to introduce some of our family, and I get to see some of these fellows a good bit at the ballpark and at our fantasy camp. And first of all, from the great 1984 team, Dan Peter. Dan, where are you, buddy? Good slider, baby. And of course, Bergie, we call him Bergie, first sacker of wood. Knew how to play the game. Dave Bergie. Bergie, stand up, Bergie. And of course, one of the great players that ever played here, coming over in our bus, they called it the short bus for some reason. There's only about 15 of us on there, but it was short. Willie was telling a story about he grew up right in this area and had some, grew up in a hurry and set some records at Tiger Stadium. And of course, Willie Horton is one of the great players of all time. He has that statue out in center field. Great guy. Willie Horton, where are you, Willie? Now, it is really a great pleasure of mine to introduce the CEO, the President, the General Manager, who really put this team together and has done such great work since he's come here, Dave Dombrowski. David?
Thank you, Jim. Good afternoon to everybody. And thank you very much for coming out. As always, we appreciate you hosting us. It is a great relationship that we've been able to develop between the club, the Economic Club, and the Detroit Tigers organization. Jim Price, as you know, who was the hard-hitting catcher for the '68 team. He always prides himself on recommending players to me and knowing the game, which, you know, he's been in the game long enough to know people and know players. And a lot of times you also have to realize when you're hearing recommendations, who is making the recommendation, right? It's extremely important. So as he recommends this new left-handed pitcher, Dave Hyman, to me, I noticed that his